Right, so after that cold week we've just had, it's a little bit warmer. Not really warmer, it's a little bit milder. The big canners are still looking okay, other than being absolutely wind battered and shredded. They took the cold quite well, and we did get a minus temperature. We did get down to, if we can see it on here, just nearly tripped over. Yeah, it's currently 8 degrees. We got down to, if you can see that, it's 1.2, minus 1.2. So yes, we got a frost. We can see the elephant ears, collocaceous. We've got a couple of different types here. The one that's looking the best is actually the Metallica. I say the best because it's still sort of melted, but the new leaf is still solid, like it might open. Yeah, so I've just sort of gone around this morning and secured everything on the shelter, because I put it up earlier, well, last week before the cold, and it weren't quite. That's just the basic frame of it. I've sort of reinforced it and made it nice and solid for, you know, any storms we may have throughout the winter. So that's nice and dry underneath there. Still obviously open at the sides, plenty of airflow. Still lets the light in. It's all clear, transparent on that. Right, yeah. So I've done a video sort of midweek about the protection of some of these queen palms. Obviously I had to comment, plastic, don't use plastic. Well, that's sort of common sense. Plastic will hold in moisture, it will get condensation, it will sweat. Any plastic I'm using are open at the top, so they're vented. They can let the moisture build up out and any heat out. That's not a problem. Like I say, just on the cold nights, well, I'll just put a cloche over the top. So for instance, this queen palm here, explained it in the last video, just some canes around the palm, tied up the fronds so the fronds aren't touching the plastic. The plastic is supported by the bamboo canes, and yeah, if we do for a frost, then I'll just put the cloche over the top to keep the frost out. Yeah, so with the minus 1.2, it was down this end of the garden, which obviously sort of house end. So as we go further down, this is why it's important you don't just have one temperature sensor, because that does change throughout the garden. So further right down at the bottom, we got minus 1.7, so it's only half a degree difference, but it's slightly cooler over there, that end. So you might be thinking, well, the better microclimate is near the house. Just because it's marginally, I won't say warmer, marginally milder down the house end doesn't mean that's a better microclimate, because the house end is in shade, so during the day that'll stay shaded and won't defrost if it was frozen badly, where down this end would be in full sun. And again, I say full sun, full winter sun, so it's getting late in the afternoon now. The sort of sun is just about disappearing over there. So the garden is sort of pretty much in shade at the moment, but during the bulk of the daylight hours, the whole back garden gets sun. Like I say, down that end, even though it's marginally milder, the sun obviously low in the sky casts a shadow, so you get a little bit of shadow there. So even though it's slightly milder, it's still not the best microclimate. You want to bounce back, yeah, you know, the sun hitting your plants to, you know, burn off any frost. We didn't get any snow. I say that it did snow for about 2 minutes. Some quite big flakes, but obviously didn't lay. Yeah, so we had I think a very slight frost the Monday night, and we were all right until Thursday and Friday. So yeah, Friday night was the cold one. So we're going to say between the two temperatures, around about -1.5, you know. So nothing to worry about. This is why I wanted to get some things sort of protected. Again, with sort of any really tender palms, or I say really tender palms, there's no really tender palms out here, just stuff that I want to sort of look after, like this Brahea edulis. So I did have a fleece bag over that, obviously supported by this plastic mesh, which I've just zip tied around the palm, so I can just whip the fleece bag on and off when I need to. So it's always open and plenty of airflow. As soon as we get them frosts, fleece bag straight over the top. I didn't bother protecting anything else like the Butias or the Washingtonia, even though we weren't actually due to get any frosts. As usual, the weather forecast lied, and you know, we were supposed to be sort of +2 and we got -1.5. So you know, that's the difference between a frost and not. So up until sort of Thursday, Friday, most things were looking pretty good. And then yeah, I think that Friday was the one that done the damage. So a lot of the bananas, this is a golden lotus banana, so that sort of took a frost. So what I might do with that is let that wilt down a bit more, and then I'll cut the foliage off and protect that in situ. Some of the cannas, again, we'll just let them wilt down a bit more, let anything go back into the roots before we cut them off dead. The banana Musa Baju, more wind damage than frost damage. I've no doubt that if it got particularly mild again, that's continue growing. That's not sort of frosted the leaves off to the point where they've turned to mush. They're still green. Obviously the Washingtonia robusta, no issues with that at -1 or -2. No need to worry about that whatsoever. I will probably tie up the fronds on this and just whack a fleece bag over this if we get, I won't say if we're forecast, but if I think it's going to get below -3, -4, then yeah, that's when I'll put a fleece bag over the Washingtonia. The same with the Butia odoratas. The Butiagarus aerospatha, which is here. I've got another one down the bottom of or top of the garden, however you got to look at it, house end. I'll be doing exactly the same as what I've done last year with them, and you can't barely see this at the minute. There's so much other stuff growing over it. I need to cut the grapevine back and some of this other bits, the passion flower and whatnot. But yeah, so again, I'll just be tying that up so it's sort of nice and tight, and I'll just get a small fleece bag over them as and when needed. Xanthodecia, we can see has got a little bit of brown into the leaves, not browning but sort of discoloration. Again, they'll take a light frost, they're absolutely fine. Surprisingly, the gingers, most of the gingers are looking absolutely fine. Maybe the ends of the leaves wilting a little bit. This is the variegated one, certainly not turned to mush. Again, the tree ferns not an issue at sort of -1, -2. Not got to worry about them. These cannas sort of took the worst out of all of them, because obviously just open sky, there's nothing above them. They took the frost. Again, they sort of discoloured the leaves, but not quite enough damage to sort of make them collapse. But I'm sure there's time for that. Let's just sneak in here because I want to have a look at. This is the 5-foot tree fern which I moved in spring this year. In all honesty, that's done absolutely brilliant. Didn't even notice that it's moved. Didn't get a huge amount of roots with it either. So these are fronds from last year, so obviously there's a bit of discoloration on them. This is all the new leaves, which probably are a tad smaller than the last year's, but still a decent flush on it. I'd say at least 20 fronds on that. That's done really well. We have got, this is one of the more tender pseudopanics which I found. I grow a few different pseudopanics, none have been an issue. This one did have a little bit of dieback. This is the Pseudopanics purpurea. Really quite nice colour, really nice foliage. Obviously I'd say evergreen, but this did a lot of the little tips did die off last winter, browned off, but none of the actual branches died, and I think where they did probably die, sort of die back a little bit, they've just forked out, so it's made for a bushier, bigger, bushier plant there. So that's not as tough as most pseudopanics, that one, but still that'll certainly take -4 or 5 before you have to worry about it. Very small tree fern here, no trunk, just sat there pumping out leaves all summer. Didn't get round to bringing the cycad in, the sago palm, but again at -1.5, can't worry about that too much at that stage. I will bring that in somewhere, whether it be the conservatory or the summer house or whatever. That will be under shelter, because I'm going to be planting that out next year. I want it looking good, and it is in a pot as well. Yeah, so sort of coming back round here, so the Pediceites palmatum still hanging in there. Xanthodecia Hercules, we can see there's a little bit of discoloration on some of the leaves, but yeah, they haven't turned to mush yet. But this canna was probably protecting them a little bit, and the new Trachycarpus above it is probably helping that as well to an extent. Right, yeah, so we looked at the colocaceae, the elephant ears down the other end, and they're sort of pretty much done for. These ones are definitely done for. So again, down the house end, 1/2 degree milder than down this end, and these are all fully out in the open, so they have totally given up. So this is the Esculenta, and that has sort of, I'd say, turned to mush. The stems are still there, but the leaves are gone. Interestingly, the lemon lime, after the frosts, when everything else, all the other elephant ears would totally droop, and these looked all right, but since then they have given up. Yeah, so that's the lemon lime there, and then these are all the pink chinas. They're sort of given up, but again, I'm not going to be cutting them back straight away. You know, that's autumn, things look messy, there's leaves on the floor. You can have plants dying off. I mean, you can't tidy it up every day. I'm going to leave these for a few weeks, let all that, any, goodness, any nutrients still in that to go back into the corms for next year. So as everything sort of dies down here, so we had dahlias, the elephant ears, the bedding impatiens. You can start to see some of the other plants, some of the evergreens, which will take centre stage once everything is fully gone. So we have got a little sable here, and that is the Burmandana. I will put a cloche over that if it gets too cold, but at -1 or 2, not too fussed. The Chamaerops cerifera. This looked really blue in the summer, but this last couple of weeks, so much rain, it's literally washed the blue off. I mean, there's still some sort of residue on some of the leaves, but you can see as half of it is just sort of gone back to green. It does tend to do that in the winter. If you have a wet winter, that will not look as blue as it would maybe in the summer. I didn't worry about protecting the Jubea. I'm still debating whether to do anything with this. Last year I did have a shelter over it, just a polycarbonate roof over the top of it as such, just because I think before I got this palm in the past that had spear pulled at some point, there's a bit of a rim where water could have collected, and if that collects water in there and it freezes, that good chance that'll spear pull. So I covered that over. They are pretty hardy, obviously, but why risk it? So I still may put something over that, but that's done really well this year. That has pushed out 5, opened 5 leaves, and there's a good couple of spears pushing out in the centre, so I'm really pleased with how quick that's grown. I'm really surprised, actually. Talking of speed, the thing's growing. This cordyline has gone mental. So I've got a cluster of 3 cordylines there and 3 here. They're all different colour types, but this is a burgundy spire. It was literally about the size of this one here, the magic star you see here, and just in one summer tripled in size. Most impressed with that. Everything else has done well. So like I say, the magic star, we've got a Charlie boy the other side, another Charlie boy there, another magic star, and then we've got a Torbay dazzler. They've all settled in quite well. So again, once all this sort of foliage tender stuff has died down, we'll still have a bit of structure, and we've got that little bright-sided yucca there. So when I done video midweek, this was covered over. This is the Brahea almata. Yeah, so again, this is the first winter I've seen in my garden. This got planted out in the spring. So I've just tie wrapped the fronds together, which is quite nice because there's a couple of old fronds on the outside, so obviously all the stuff on the inside is really nice. This is a sort of an old aging leaf, so that's going to protect it a little bit, and that'll take the damage first. And obviously if you've got a fleece bag over that, hence why they're tied up like that, so just for ease for whacking a fleece bag on and off. Yeah, so any damage that occurs is going to be on the old leaf, not the new leaves. You probably could get a fleece bag over it if the leaves weren't tied up as such, but again, you could be damaging all the leaves rather than just the outer leaves. If it gets really cold, again, I can wrap fleece around the crown first before I put a fleece bag on. But again, just putting that fleece bag on over the top You know, -4, -5, not an issue. Anything more than that, and I will wrap the crown as well. But just that fleece bag on top is obviously stopping the worst of the cold and frost hitting that, because you've got a big fleece ball on top. Yeah, so most things are looking as they should. Obviously, Phoenix Cariensis, that's not an issue at -1.5. Well, I've actually got -1.7 down this end, but again, that's marginally colder, but that makes up for it during the day. The microclimate during the day is far better down here because that gets the sun, and yeah, we've got a couple of the shed and the summer house that does sort of block it there as well, so the heat sort of bounces off round about at the back here. All the Camarops, Humilis, all absolutely fine. Don't need to worry about them at that sort of temperature. Obviously the Fatsia and the big leaf rhododendron, absolutely fine. There is a canopy over them, obviously with the big cord lines overhead. I didn't protect the Livingstoner chinensis. Again, partly because, well, half of me wanted to wait and, you know, see what happened, and the other half I did want to protect it, but I sort of ran out of time anyway. So this is not a palm I'm expecting to look good all year round, to thrive. This is an edge on the edge palm. It did push out quite a few fronds this year, but we can see there's still a little bit of discoloration from the exposed leaf there to the leaf that's been covered over. So a lot of palms will do that. It's just the cells retracting and whatever in the cold. But now we'll see. I will eventually put something over that to protect it. Just again, just a roof shelter on that, open at the sides. So there's another palm here. I don't really talk much about this one. Where's the thing is, I gave the gardener a really good mulching a few weeks back, and I might have mulched over the ticket. This is a type of Oranga, and it's supposed to be a pretty tough one, so I'm going to give it a try. Can't remember the name offhand, begins with R. I think that's one of them ones that are difficult to pronounce, but we'll see. Kind of not wanting to do anything with that. If we get sort of -4 or lower, I'll probably put a fleece bag over it, but light frost on, I just want to see how that does. We've got a sort of canopy over that with the Fatsia. Yeah, I sort of came out just to have a look at food plants, see which sort of looked good and which didn't after the light frost. I think we've sort of looked at that, and I didn't really have any other agenda for this video, so we'll probably leave it there, I think. Yeah, most of the evergreens, you know, not an issue. Obviously Tetrapanax still got a, like, what, I'll push a new leaf, but a couple of the bigger older leaves have dropped. This is taking a while to settle in, this one. I think it struggled this year due to the dry, very long spells without rain. Even though I've been watering it, that struggled. Anyway, we're going to leave it there because I'm just rambling as usual. Any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will happily do videos on specific plants. Anything anything I get asked about, I'd rather answer it in a video rather than spend half an hour typing backwards and forwards, as it were. We'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.